Hey folks, Nathan P. Butler here. This is my YouTube channel, and this is a long overdue project and channel update here. Remember, I used to do those project updates every single month back when I was still doing my Patreon. But the last one of these, I believe, if I'm seeing correctly here, was back in February of 2024. So it's been over a year since I've done one of these, so I figure maybe it is time to do so now that time somewhat permits. You notice a little bit of a different setup here. I'm still kind of trying to work out exact logistics of how I'm going to set up the camera and whatnot. I've cleared out some stuff in the office here. There used to be big tubs, big long tubs full of stuff up against my home video shelves on this side of the room, but that meant that if I wanted to, play a board game or something at night when everybody else is asleep, I was pretty limited in my space. But now, at least as of the moment, I've got those cleared out so I can have some tables set up in here. So I got my table here. Played some The Last Command recently, a game that I initially did a prototype video on back in the day, and then eventually got brought in by accident, kind of as a playtester and rulebook editor. So I'm in the game and I'm in the credits for the game. It's one of my favorite deck building games that'll eventually show up in a series that I'll mention here in a little bit. But now I finally have a table over here, and I guess you're seeing sort of the edge of the desk here. I don't know if that's ever been a thing, but I think it's because I've scooted over thanks to the table being here. But I'll figure it out at some point. So in any event, so big things outside of the channel since we last spoke, sort of life stuff. So my son has started school. He actually just started his second year of school. It's been that long since I've done an update. So he started kindergarten last August. That was a bit of a whirlwind, and not in a good way, the first month or so. We knew he was going to need some type of accommodation. We had a very clear suspicion that he was autistic. He had not been able to get a diagnosis as such when he was younger, because when we got him tested, he wasn't really speaking much. He was very young, but he did do speech and occupational therapy for a while, and they kind of thought probably so. But this was his first time in school. And if you know anything about the way that schools in the US work, it's that basically you can get what's called a 504 plan if there's a medical issue or an IEP, if there's some kind of learning issue and whatnot. Autism tends to fall under an IEP, an individualized education plan, 504 referring to section 504 of the act that provides accommodations, or that provides the legal basis for accommodations. But basically, you can have that kind of documentation to have accommodations in school, but it's a process to get them set up in the first place. And since he had never been in school before, that first month was the process. I mean, I'm in the school system. I know the process well, so we were able to get in there, immediately get things rolling. He got the observation for a month or so within his regular class with some interventions and whatnot. And then after that month was over, we were all set to formalize an IEP and get him into the specialized autism class that they have. But that first month was kind of a nightmare because, the teacher was fantastic. I mean, actually had an SEC or special education background, but at the same time, that's a lot to try to deal with when you have other kids, and he's not really wanting to be a cooperative in some ways. But once we got him into the autism class, it was fantastic. Terrific school year from then on. And he just started the second school year as a first grader now. And is also enjoying it still within that program. So our big life change was that my son has started school, which is weird to say because so many people watching this were probably followers of the channel or my other projects when I announced that we were having a baby, right? We're having a baby, right? Every time I said it and threw my arms out and whatnot. Most notably probably in the video talking about the end of the Star Wars Timeline Gold. But yeah, sorry, I had to get my computer light back on over here. But yeah, he's in first grade now, which is crazy to think. Let's see, other stuff beyond that. I mean, I taught summer school again. I finished out that year, taught summer school again, as I usually do, teaching again here. No changes really with that. I'm currently teaching personal finance and economics, and I'm teaching sociology, which I usually teach both of those. I'm also currently teaching some US history as well. And last term, and then coming up next term, but not this term, at least I think next term, maybe next year, I actually got into teaching the AP economics classes. I really enjoy that stuff. So I did some AP macro last semester. I'll be doing AP macro and micro soon, so that'll be kind of cool. Give you a sense of how big of a nerd I am. I actually use some of that you can take it off your taxes money that educators have in Georgia to buy the most recent version of my favorite economics textbook for AP classes, and I'm in the process of reading it cover to cover to remind myself of things I might have forgotten since I last actually took a macro or micro college level econ class in 2002-ish. It's been a while. But still teaching and everything, nothing really changing there. Nothing really new book-wise or anything like that as far as writing goes. The only kind of big thing is actually fairly recent here, I guess, is that we are currently dealing with car stuff and injury stuff. Essentially my wife's dad, my father-in-law, he had to be taken to the hospital for an emergency surgery. And my wife stayed with him for that, sleeping there at the hospital and all. And then when it turned out he was not able to go home yet, she finally decided, okay, well, I'm going to go home, but I'll also run the errands that he needs because obviously he can't while he's hospitalized. And on the way home from doing so, a moron decided to turn left in front of her with no other cars around, and boom, they had a wreck. So we don't know if the car is totaled yet. Maybe by the time that this video is edited and uploaded, we will know, but we don't know yet if the car is totaled or can be fixed or not. She was injured, but not like as bad as it could have been, right? No broken bones, no internal injuries, and she's alive, obviously, which is the most important part. But injury-wise, she has a couple of sprained wrists, a sprained finger, tons of bruising and whatnot, and just some other issues that may exacerbate some stuff that was going on before. So she's in the process of healing. She'll be returning to work soon as of the time that I record this, but we are still in that limbo about what exactly is going on with that car. We have had some rough luck in the Atlanta metro area with cars. No freaking wonder our county has extremely high insurance rates. When I moved down here in 2002, I had a 2001 green Mustang. And when my wife and I got married, we needed 2 vehicles, so I kind of handed that off to her, and I bought myself, or started paying on, I guess you could say. I eventually bought, once I finished paying it off, I got a 5-door Kia Rio, because I like the idea of having a hatchback for, the stuff that I would carry around and that sort of thing. And then, driving in the parking lot at the place, the little apartment complex we used to live, some idiot, high as a kite, swings around a corner and head-to-head with the Mustang. So the Mustang got totaled. And we replaced that with I believe that was when we replaced it with a Ford Freestyle that we bought from a used car dealership that, now looking back on it, is a little bit shady, apparently, in its reputation, but we didn't know that at the time. That car lasted a month before its transmission went, so that was gone. Replaced that with an older model Kia Rio, which tend to like Kias, and they're built in the area. Older model Kia Rio that she then had for quite a while. While she was driving that, and I was driving the new 5-door Rio, yep, sure enough, that got totaled because I was sitting at a stop sign, minding my own damn business, when an idiot decides to pull out in front of another person. They hit, and one of the vehicles spins and crashes into mine. So that car got totaled. And then on the way home from work a few years ago, my wife has a deer jump out in front of her and hit the hood. That car got totaled. I replaced mine when it got totaled with my Kia Soul that I still have, that, if you look at it from behind, it almost looks like a Phasma helmet. And then just recently, my wife, again, on the way from taking care of stuff for her dad while he was hospitalized briefly, just an idiot turns left. There's no cars coming. She's going this way. They're coming this way. They decide, I'm just going to turn left into here and not pay attention, and boom, and we don't know what's going on with that car. So we've yet to be able to just have like we're just tired of this car, we'll trade it in kind of moment in all these years in Georgia. I guess, as they say, Sith happens. But yeah, so we're dealing with that kind of stuff right now. School is in session, son is back in school. I mean, all that kind of stuff is kind of the norm, I guess you could say, but I was trying to update everybody on kind of broader circumstances here. Him being back in school does mean I probably have a little bit more recording time. You may notice a lot of my videos, you got edits that sometimes are in odd places. Did I just screw up saying something? Well, no, a lot of the times I've got my work stuff pulled up here. I can record here, and if a student needs something or reaches out, or if I have a call scheduled or something, I just pause, take care of that, come back and record some more. So it may take me hours to record something that when it's finished is only, half an hour, 45 minutes long. But it's so that I can work that in throughout the day whenever I actually am able to without him in the background, sound-wise. So behind the scenes stuff. I have actually, by the way, also started to get caught up on my Star Wars reading. I got really thrown off into Star Wars reading really by a couple of things. One, I spent many months reading the entirety of Wheel of Time, which is fantastic. The show really only started to do it justice in the third season, and of course, that was the last season. Um, but then also alongside that, I got into Critical Role and watched everything for Critical Role. So I finally, in the last couple of months, finished up Campaign 3 and the last Exandria Unlimited. I just finished watching Age of Umbra. I am caught up on that stuff. I also recently read the entirety of the Invincible comic line. So now when I'm going to sleep at night, for the first time in a while, I'm catching up on Star Wars comics, Star Wars books, that sort of thing, just to try to get caught up on what I've been missing, especially the High Republic. I'm actually really enjoying the post-Return of the Jedi comics they've got going now. I've been pretty surprisingly impressed by those so far, but still working my way through High Republic, still kind of like on High Republic, but I am in that third phase, about kind of probably the midpoint at this point. So still slowly but surely going through those. Game-wise, I was kind of used to do that whole what are you playing type thing. So game-wise, let's see. On PS5 right now, I have just finished my second run-through of Stellar Blade. May do a New Game Plus. I don't know if I'll do that at some point. Kind of stalled out in Baldur's Gate 3 because I forgot a lot of the story after being away from it for a little bit, but hopefully we'll get back into it. Playing the first Berserker, Kazan. Playing a little bit of Astrobot. Just finished A Plague Tale: Innocence. Might replay Lies of P because I'm kind of pissed because I bought the DLC for Lies of P and I had finished the game and got back to the beginning where I could do a New Game Plus or start over, and you can't access the DLC that I bought unless you replay until a certain point of the game. That kind of annoyed me. But that's my freaking fault. VR-wise, haven't played a ton lately. What I've played when I've had the opportunity, I played a lot during the last year, Aliens, had Rogue Incursion come out, and games like that. But the biggest thing recently has just been playing, little one-off sessions, little roguelike sessions and whatnot of the Light Brigade on Quest 3. Haven't really had a chance to bust out the PSVR 2 very much at all recently. Just not enough time in the day, as you can imagine with the other stuff that I talk about enjoying here. I did get a chance to visit my hometown for the first time in quite a while. My college shirt here indicates that I finally was there on a weekday, so I can actually go into the bookstore at my college to get some college attire, although no one will probably recognize it, except maybe a couple out there. Go Aces, you eat and all that. But I finally got a chance to do that. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't travel with us because of some various stuff going on, including work. But my son and I were able to go up and visit family for the first time in over a year. Really, you think it took a while to get back to you guys? It's been even longer since we had seen them. We finally got a chance to do that recently. As far as the channel here and new stuff, as of the last time that I put out one of these updates, let me see. The last from the Star Wars Home Video Library episode that was released was number 507 back then. The newest episode is 545, so we've had almost 40 new episodes here. I continue my looks at Final Girl stuff and Tiny Epic stuff when it comes to board game items, along with Sorcerer from Wise Wizard Games. So we took a look at Sorcerer, and then took a look at all the stuff for Endbringer, took a look at Tiny Epic Dungeons storage stuff, took a look at Tiny Epic Kingdoms, Tiny Epic Defenders, Tiny Epic Galaxies, Tiny Epic Quest, a lot of those early Tiny Epic games as well. Did North Pole Nightmare, a bunch of interim stuff, and then Series 3 stuff for Final Girl, so still doing the board game related stuff. Also did one for Set a Watch and started a new video series looking at the contents each new release of Star Wars Villainous. It's also within this last period of time since the last update when I did do that prototype look at The Last Command. Also took a look at Star Trek Star Realms and how it kind of parallels the original release as kind of a reskin from Star Realms. Took a look at both of the releases so far for the Star Wars deck building game. Did an in-depth look at Space Hulk Death Angel with all of its expansions, which are pretty rare. Also did a big look at Heroes of the Sanctum and all the stuff from its first Kickstarter. And the, I think it's called Star Wars, it's not in here anymore, Star Wars Galactic Archive or whatever it is, version of the Star Wars Electronic Dejarik game. Also took a look at the 10th anniversary of my Star Wars Tales story, Equals and Opposites, back in 2004, which of course had its 20th anniversary in 2024. Also took a look at how in recent memory, it was actually reprinted in a collection by Marvel, the Star Wars New Republic Epic Collection Volume 8. Also did a video to take a look at my MCU collection, if you want to call it that, the MCU stuff that I have, although there have been a few new additions since then, but that was put out relatively recently to take a look at that if you're curious. And then I actually launched a couple of new series related to Star Wars Home Video this year here on the channel. So the main one was Star Wars Home Video Year by Year. I think the last time I did one of these updates, I talked about how I was looking for new ideas of something else to keep pushing Star Wars Home Video content forward, because really there weren't a lot of new releases to talk about at that point, or new stuff in my collection to talk about, though we did get almost 40 episodes, I guess. So I started a new series called Star Wars Home Video Year by Year. And it's what it sounds like. It's a year-by-year look at primary Star Wars Home Video releases, mainly from the US, but some from outside the US, on a yearly basis. It started, of course, with 1977, with the film reels and whatnot. It's going to finish up, at least for now, looking at 2024. And then once we get to 2026, and I can look back on 2025, that episode will come out too. So at this point, it's now a yearly series. What is left of the episodes that have already been recorded up through to the 2024 episode are being released here throughout the first part and a little bit of the second part of August 2025. And then that'll essentially be caught up to the present. I also did a 10-episode series of Star Wars Home Video Trivia. 10 questions at a time, so 100 questions total for a nice kind of advanced level Star Wars Home Video Trivia thing. If you want to watch those, keep track of your score as you go along. And then along with that, I did actually sort of a me, kind of self-indulgent me trivia for those who have really paid attention to my works over the years and my involvement in fandom and whatnot. I just kind of see who knew what and who remembered what over the years. So a lot of various projects and whatnot throughout this year. The biggest new thing that I have released outside of video, though, and you can see a video about it on the YouTube channel here, is that I did finally finish up enough of categorizing and cataloging my collection to put together that spreadsheet to track my collection of Star Wars Home Video stuff in all kinds of different formats. And as promised, I made that available publicly for those who want to download it and use that as a basis of setting up their own collection spreadsheets. That is over on my website, starwarsfanworks.com/netherpbutler.com/asagaonhomevideo.com. All of those on either side of the slashes go to the same place. But I put up a video with some suggestions of ways to use that and a little bit about it fairly recently here. As for the future, there's not really a whole lot to cover right now from the Star Wars Home Video Library, although in cataloging my collection, I did run into some stuff that I realized I never had a chance to show before. I think it's all from when Matt Fry donated a big part of his collection into mine, and they just kind of got stuck behind other stuff. So we'll be looking at that stuff soon. There's a biography episode on George Lucas, for example, a Saturday Night Live episode on VHS with Carrie Fisher from '78, that sort of thing. Kind of the oddballs, somewhat tangential items here to look at. Again, can't do anything new with Star Wars Home Video Year by Year until 2026, when I can do one more episode. Star Wars Home Video Trivia, until I come up with a bunch more questions for that. There won't be a second run of that quite yet. I did restart some Q&As. I had been doing those long-form Q&As for Patreon and done mini Q&As recently and some Q&A episodes from the Star Wars Home Video Library, but it had been a while. So I just said, screw it, we'll just make one unified new Q&A series. So I've done a couple episodes of that. I'll be recording another one soon. Various stuff kind of irons in the fire, but I think that right now, probably what you're going to see the most on the channel, aside from the stuff that's already home video stuff scheduled for release, is a shift more towards the tabletop game stuff again. I plan to finally bring back Nate's favorite deck building games to finally look at more stuff from, Star Realms, Hero Realms, The Last Command. A brief look at Hand of Fate Ordeals, because I already really looked at that in depth with something else, a different type of video. DC deck building game, Legendary Encounters, Dark Souls, the card game, just lots of deck building games I want to take a look at. I'm also going to be finishing up more videos in that Tiny Epic content overview series for that game series. Still do that long-awaited, takes forever type of thing, where I do a comparison between the first and second editions of Dungeons of Infinity. So various things that I plan to continue to do in that space now that time permits a little bit more. And there's really not a lot of Star Wars Home Video stuff to be recording about or to cover at this point. We've had a lot of new subscribers to the channel, specifically, I think, because of Star Wars Home Video Year by Year, which has been fantastic. We are over 7,000 now, as of the time that I record this, 7,043. And I hope I don't lose folks when there's just not a lot of Star Wars Home Video stuff to cover, and Star Wars Home Video year by year, by definition, can't continue forward until another year has gone by. It's been a great year for that type of interaction, but I wonder how much that interaction will stick around when we get to the point where new episodes of that can't come out until we get another year gone by. We shall see. Honestly, I thought people were going to start being jerks in the comments, as often is the case. As soon as we got to the point where we started covering stuff in Star Wars Home Video year by year from 2016 onward, because that's the Disney era, I expected people to come out of the woodwork just bashing just for the sake of bitching about Disney, as is almost always the case with stuff like that. But no, it's remained a very civil, very interesting series. The only time I ran into anything like that was when I started putting out Star Wars Home Video year by year. Some folks started subscribing based on that, looking at that older stuff, and then I put out a From the Star Wars Home Video Library episode of some kind of release from the Disney era. It might have been Ahsoka or something, maybe. And somebody made the comment like, I don't come here for Disney crap. I come here for, sorry, click, bye. Because ain't nobody got time for that, so to speak. So, for the most part, it's been a very cordial thing. I've been very excited to see the support for Star Wars Home Video year by year. And hopefully, even if there's not new episodes until New Year's go by, at least these will be there as a touchstone for people. Maybe people will share the series and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been a fruitful, interesting year. Both on the home life, on the video stuff, and otherwise, with the spreadsheet and whatnot. So hopefully it won't be another year before I do another of these updates, but that's kind of where things are right now. Just waiting as my wife heals from the car accident, figuring out stuff about the car, and getting into the new school year here, as is always the case in August. If you would like, to take part in more stuff with the channel, make sure to comment on the various videos that you find interesting. I'm not someone who usually says, like and subscribe, because this is not my profession. It's a hobby. It's just something I do on the side because I enjoy it. But, if you like the stuff and you want to see more of it, subscribe, click like, whatever. I would love to see reviews of A Saga on Home Video. I know a lot of folks who have watched Star Wars Home Video year by year wound up picking up A Saga on Home Video 2nd edition on Amazon. If you picked up the book, if you had a chance to read it, feel free to drop a review on Amazon. I was interested to see what people think of the book and whatnot. But generally speaking, if you want to support the channel, just keep watching, just keep engaging. I enjoy it. Hopefully you do too. And I'll catch you again for another update and plenty of videos between now and then. Thanks all. Have a good one.